StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charles Hamilton, music, moments, and everything in between. I'm tired, and Stick Braxton.
I am Mike D. Jackson, and recently I just refound this shirt. It was under my bed for I don't even know how long, but it was washed.
Okay. Found laundry is always good. Usually you just find socks because they tend to break up in a dryer cycle. But a missing shirt. Had you noticed that you missed the shirt and that you would lost the shirt?
I think that I thought I threw it away. At
Mm,
some point I was just like, it's an older shirt. I just when you get to a certain point where it's like, this is I can do without this. I figured I threw it away, and
mhm.
I did not. It went under the bed, and then just I never looked under it again to actually like clean up. And then I was like, oh wow, like I still have this shirt. Oh, all right. Well, let's put some good use to it and wear it, but wash it first because I don't know, I don't know what was happening before. You know what I mean? It was probably smelling crazy, and I'm like, nope, that's gotta get washed and dried. So,
Nice. That's the correct order of events. Other than that, you doing all right?
a little parched, as one could say. Normally I would, have something like Celsius, but
Mhm.
I'm like, nah, I'll wait to take one of those. Actually, I would offer you one because you did say you're tired. That might be what you need.
Yeah. You don't want to tell me about the great nutritional facts of it? That way you can go ahead and get your stipend for the week.
No, I don't. So if you guys want to know, you might have to fuck around and find out. Buy one. Celsius. Mike's getting paid. Yeah,
Celsius,
feel free to do whatever you're going to do with that.
Celsius, tagline being "fuck around and find out" would be insane.
Imagine the commercial. It's just like, and someone doing that. It's like, oh yeah, let me get a Celsius. No, you fuck around and find out. It's like, do you want
What?
me? Do you want me to buy it or not?
That's fantastic. But yeah, man, we're back again, with a another review. Um, I don't know how to categorize this one. I love this one a lot as far as the concept goes, but I don't know how to categorize it. Is it a classic to people? Is it an underrated one? I guess that's what we're here to find out. But we are reviewing, and I want to make sure I get this right because it's kind of a mouthful. Pause. Every Charles Hamilton's ex-girlfriend's worst nightmare.
Technically, you're close. Technically, you're wrong. It's every Charles Hamilton ex-girlfriend's worst nightmare. But it's like you added extra S, but close enough. Doesn't matter too much. So,
It would matter
um,
in Wheel of Fortune.
yeah, it would. It definitely would. So, um, but as some people will call it, every CH is his ex-girlfriend's worst nightmare. So, here's the crazy part about this tape, right? When I was doing some research on it, they were like, it was like pigeons and planes, and it might have been double XL. There's a couple of articles I found from back in the day. This tape came out February 18th of 2009. And they kept saying, "Oh, this is Charles Hamilton's third tape of the week. Charles Hamilton's third project he's dropped this week." I'm like, okay, and they don't mention the other two projects. You're going to be surprised of what other two projects he dropped within that time period.
First off, poor journalism. You're supposed to refer back to the two tapes beforehand. I don't know why they didn't do that. But what are the two tapes?
I think that maybe for them, some of them just were just like, man, this kid's just dropping too much, you know what I mean? But still,
Fair.
I agree with you. It's like, name the other two tapes. So, the first tape that came out was Awkward. The first Awkward. Well, isn't this awkward? February 13th. Remember that did come out right before
Yeah, that's
Valentine's
right.
Day.
Yeah.
The second tape that came out 2 days later, My Brain is Alive. So literally, Charles dropped Awkward on the 13th. 2 days later, on the 15th, he dropped My Brain is Alive. And then 3 days later, he dropped every Charles Hampton ex-girlfriend's worst nightmare. So those are three tapes he dropped within that same week. And then I want to say it was like 5 days later, he dropped a Dub Melville's tape.
Why don't I remember that? That seems like something that would be a memorable week or stretch, right?
For me, I don't remember those dropping like those close together. I
Yeah.
remember like we talked about it for Awkward, right? We talked about the episode, not episode, the YouTube video with him and Ski because they were just sitting there talking about the tape.
Hmm.
But I'm thinking about it now. It's crazy because we got to think about it. That's almost, well, not 20 years, but 15 years ago. So of course, we're not going to remember things exactly how they happened.
Hmm.
But in my head, I'm thinking about it now. Once he dropped Awkward, right? I'm assuming everyone was like, oh man, this is great tape. Wait, this guy has been talking about Rihanna the whole time. This guy's in love with Rihanna. And does she know this? Has she? Hey, y'all, look over there. Over- hey guys, new project. My brand's
Yeah.
alive.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what were we talking about before? Oh, like, okay. So yeah, my brain's alive. This is really great. Wait a minute, what were we just talking about, Rihanna? Hey, look down there. Hey, y'all, here's another new project.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Like Charles was hitting like the wrap around, and he did like the step back, you know what I mean? Like a little cross. Has he? I'm like, yeah. So 3 tapes on 1 week. Especially those first two we just talked about. Obviously big for his career and very well known with StarChaser. So
Yeah.
I can see like why people would say this tape is like underrated or not talked about as much. You're between, not even between those two. Those two come on first, and then you're like the next one. You're supposed
Yeah.
to be like the, let's say if you're the closer of a show, right? And you got to close, you have to go after those 2 tapes. That's pretty difficult.
Yeah, that's a tough ask. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's the main thing is that I just didn't realize that they were so close together. Like that's a very short time frame. It feels like I don't know, it should have been stretched out more. And kind of two of them at least make sense if we're around the Valentine's Day situation. Awkward makes sense. This take makes sense. I don't know how My Brain's Alive would fit in that type of time frame, but I mean, news to me. News that I was a part of, but like news to me as a reminder. Do you remember your first time listening to this tape though?
Definitely. I remember listening to this tape and also the other ones, but like you said, I don't remember listening to them back to back to back like that within 2 days, 3 days. But I definitely remember listening to this tape. When I first heard it, I was like, yeah, this tape's pretty cool. I like it. Um, this is one of those things where I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, if I heard, awkward, damn, I love awkward.
Mm.
Heard, my brain's alive. Yeah, my brain's alive. It's really great. Heard this. I definitely don't remember being like, damn, this one wasn't up to par. I definitely remember liking all three of those. I definitely like this tape. I think at that point we were just like in the money. We were just like blessed to be, Charles Hampton fans, Star Chasers, be like, damn, like we just got like 3 out of 3, in my
Mm.
opinion. That's how I think I looked at it. I was like, man, this is another one. Only thing is, I definitely remember this tape being shorter than the other ones, but I'm like, it's still good though. It's a shorter
Mhm.
tape, but still good. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I remember liking this tape. I remember mainly just loving the concept. I think it was very clever. Just being able to, attach. I mean, I wouldn't, me personally, I wouldn't have put the names of the people. That's very ballsy to me. But like, just each girl is like a muse for like a song or something. I really like that idea. Um, and yeah, I really like the music that came with it. And we're gonna talk more about into it, but it samples a very, I would say at the time, controversial or we'll use controversial, but a controversial album at the time. Um, that he flipped magically, and then again, if we look back on it, that the reason we got upset at that album was silly because it ended up being like a lot of slaps. But we'll talk more into that. But yeah, I really liked it when I first heard it for sure.
Definitely. And I want to bring back a segment that I haven't talked about in a while now. But
Mhm.
if you guys don't remember, this was called What Did the Star Chaser Say? So I go back in time, look at, some comments I've seen before about how people felt about this project. Every Charles Hampton ex-girlfriend's worst nightmare. That is a long title, but So here's a crazy thing, right? So a lot of people were just like, it was a lot of good comments too. One person, all they said was, God damn. Someone else, they were like, I can't keep up with this guy. A mixtape almost every week. And that wasn't even a mixtape almost every week. That was 3 in one
Yeah.
week. and we're already out of the Hamiltonization process, right? This is
Hmm.
2009, beginning of 2009. This is like when he started ramping up everything, where it's like
Hmm.
it might start being one or two a week. Um, Let me see some other comments. Oh, here's the craziest thing. Someone said, I don't fuck with none of them freshman niggas except for Charles. He's the only one that's distinct to me in terms of making his own sound and music. Um, Someone else was just saying, he can't believe it. Charles doing 3 tapes in the past week. He's doing better than everyone else right now, and it's quality music. The next GOAT, Charles. Um, Charles is the king of the freshmen, no doubt. So like it, and this is pretty much how I felt, whatever. Because like I told you, I used to listen to Charles, Asher, and that was pretty much it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And the way that Charles was coming out with so much music or whatever, how could you not have him at the top or near the top of the list for the freshmen, whatever?
Hmm.
Because no one else was dropping that much, and this is all music we enjoyed. You know what I mean? It'd be different if he was just dropping a bunch of tapes here, there, and then people said, "Oh, this is not great. This is not good." One of the recurring comments that people were saying, because we did say this tape is shorter. Someone says 9 tracks ain't a fucking mixtape. Someone else is like, well, why does it matter how long it is? Like, if the music's good, the music's good. People said, um, that's not a real mixtape. 9 songs. If I drop 9 original songs, that's a mixtape. Fuck out of here. So that's where I think he was getting most of his criticism from. And then I'm like, damn, I forgot about that. In 2009, 2008, if you work on something mixtape, you had to at least have, what was it, like 15? 15 used to be like minimum.
And that's
You,
minimum, yeah.
yeah, you came anything less than that, people were just like, you're slacking, you're being lazy and whatnot. Now, when you think about it, like especially albums and whatnot, we don't want bloated projects, 20 songs on there. Like
Hmm.
it's funny how time changes things. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Why people were kind of shitting on the projects because of the shortness of the project.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I think it's kind of, I won't say short-sighted, but I will say it's kind of weird because I can't confirm because I don't have dates and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure he's at least dropped at least one 3-song mixtape at this point. Or if he hasn't, he's about to. Because I know he had this perfect one, and he also had another one. I forgot what it's actually called, but it also sampled a lot of Kanye stuff. But I mean, he's done shorter projects before, and to be fair, this is really 7 songs. If we want to be technical, so like I could see somebody being like, "All right, bro," like But again, if it's 9 songs, what do you call it at that point? If like, what did they want them to call it? Did they want them to call it an EP? That would have been silly. I mean, I guess you could have, but it wasn't like a resale type of thing. So usually the way we used to use mixtapes, besides multiple songs or rapping over people's beats, was it wasn't for sale. That was it. That's the way we used to explain stuff. Like, oh, an album you bought in the stores, a mixtape you just is something that was just usually free.
A digital download,
Hmm.
something you could just get for free. It's crazy because that's just like you said, it's technically 7. And then imagine telling people that actually there's an intro and then there's man, they would have had it. It would have been even worse. So
Yeah.
listen, a mixtape is a mixtape. All right.
Yeah.
So
I don't even question it these days. But like we said, there is 9 technical tracks, 7 actual records. Um, First of all, the cover. Now, the cover that's on the YouTube has kind of looks like a original Dreamcast Sonic Adventure picture, kind of almost very similar to that. Um, Kind of retro-y with the little lines going on, like a kind of like an old record VH type of situation. Now, to me, that's not the original cover. The original cover that I had was it was like a I don't even know how do you describe the way that picture is filtered.
I got you completely. So
Yeah.
I know how to explain it. First of all, with the cover that you're talking about with Sonic on there, number one, it's very simple where it's just Sonic on there laughing, which is crazy. Every Charles Hampton ex-girlfriend, worst nightmare. Damn, he's laughing at y'all. Nah, but with the original cover, I'm pretty sure. because I used to use it all the time. So it's a picture of Charles and someone, but there's a heavy filter on there. I can't tell you what the name of the filter was, but I'm pretty sure it was from Photo Bucket, RIP Photo Bucket. Because guess what? I definitely used that filter before. I used that filter on some of my pictures, like when I used to be on MySpace, like RIP MySpace too. All that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, I definitely remember like taking pictures and then like going through the different filters and being like, oh, that looks cool. Oh, that looks real crazy. Da 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 da. But that had to have been from like Photo Bucket, where I don't know what's called, but like literally, it's kind of like an inverted filter
Hmm.
where it turns everything like black and white or just a different color. It just like fades out the color and kind of leaves some color in there, but it's like an outline filter.
Hmm.
That's the best way I can explain it. But if I wish I knew the names of them.
Yeah, that original cover, I used to love that cover. I just because I love that filter and the way it made things look or whatever. Um, like this, the Sonic one is cool. I think, it kind of, it's familiarity thing for like the StarChaser or whatever. But I do like that Charles Hamilton with the woman, kind of with that inverted filter, or whatever. I used to really like that one a lot. Um, but we start off with the vinyl pop, which, it's just an intro kind of. So it's Charles talking a little bit and kind of explaining what he's about to do.
And it's one of those funny things where Charles does mention he's like, "Hey, I normally don't do intros." And not only that, did Charles stay true to fashion because he'd say, "Hey, y'all, what's going on? It's Charles Hamilton." He's doing his intro, and I guess at one point maybe he didn't like how he did his intro. He's like, "Can we start from the top?" That part doesn't get deleted, so you just hear him start over. Y'all know how Charles is, like Mr. One Take, or just don't delete it, just keep it in there. Um, it was interesting because he says, it's only called every Charles Hamilton ex-girlfriend's worst nightmare because you never got to hear, you never got to hear a chance of how I felt about it, or you never got
Mhm.
to hear how I felt about it. So it's just like, hmm. And of course, we always hear the good old saying, there's three sides to a story. You know, this person's side, that person's side, and the truth. So we get to hear Charles's side, but I don't want to say he's saying that it's the truth. It's just, hey, you just get to hear his side of the story. So
Yeah. That leads us into our first record, which is Esperanza, Kishana, and Kiana.
oh man, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna see how many names you can mess up today.
So, I
Listen,
think I should be okay after this. Oh, wait, hold
yeah,
up. Nah, there's one more I struggle with.
okay. I mean, here's the thing though. When I did listen to this project, obviously I've heard it before, but when I re-listened today, I was like, all right, I'm gonna make sure I listen to everyone's name because Charles says everyone's name at
Yep.
least once through the project. So,
Hmm.
um, with this song, interesting beat. It's just a doom 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 doom, and then it's like a guitar riff that like goes in and out of the song. So I remember like when I first re-listening to this, I was like, I don't know how I really felt about it then. I thought I was okay with it. When I re-listened, I'm like, I might not be really feeling this like that, but listen to it again, I'm like, nah, it's fine, it's fine. Um, Definitely probably one of the first few times Charles has had a beat that was like kind of going to that left side where
Hmm.
it's like a guitar riff or some type of like awkward sound that's going in and out where it's on beat, but it's one of those things where like if you want like typical beats, this might not be for you. Um, Other notes I took, right? So overall, the song it's pretty good, pretty good song. I took some notes about basically what Charles was saying
Hmm.
about each girl. You know what I mean? So like with Esperanza, basically he was saying like she was a fling. And by the way, if I get any of this wrong, Charles, feel free to clear it up. Um, she was just a fling, I guess. Uh, Kishana was a bigger girl, so she might not have been the typical look, but eventually they lost touch. And then Kiana, she was very vulgar with things she wanted to do to his member.
Hmm.
But they were online friends. So it's one of those things where it's interesting because in the hook it says she wants to be tied up. Why stop her? So like with these three girls, they all could have been different, but they all could have been like really like about it. You know what I mean? And he's like,
Hmm.
yo, like, listen, this is what they want to do, so I'm down for it. But obviously some things got in the way, or maybe they didn't see eye to eye. So, but overall, I think it's a good song. Decent intro. Normally, I'll be like, "Oh, it's a good intro." I'm like, "This is decent. It's not bad, but it's okay." It keeps me wanting to listen to be like, "Okay, well, what's next?"
Eh, Let's just point at that intro portion. It something has to intro the tape, right? When I listen to these songs, I honestly don't know if there's really a quote unquote intro track here because it doesn't seem like any of these fits as an intro. Like they're all like, you know what I'm saying? How we feel about the song, how we feel about the song, that's fine. But like as far as an intro and kind of setting the table, I don't know if there's anyone that would have just been like, this is the better choice here. I think it's just like, you got to pick one, and that's the one he chose. Um, the record itself is okay. I know back then I was like, it's not really for me. Um, but listening to it today, I like what he's saying and how he addresses each girl, and like that's what I do like about this tape, especially ones with multiple women on there, is how he kind of addresses each one individually, sometimes by verse or just depending on how he's rapping throughout the verse. Um, but yeah, that beat is definitely different, and I think that you know I think I'm used to him starting off a little bit with a little bit more higher energy, maybe more drums, maybe more bombastic sound than what he did here. But overall, I definitely like it better than I did back then. So that I think that's a positive.
Definitely. I would say, looking through all these songs, I probably would start this off as the tape, because there's some of these other songs I'm like, I wouldn't want to play that early. And then
Hmm.
where do you put this at? So like
Yeah.
this might be like one of the weaker songs. And I think I've said this before, like on one of the episodes previously. Like you might, if you have a song that might not be as strong as some of your other ones,
Hmm.
let's start that off. So you just, kind of like, when you do a wrestling show, you know what I mean? You get like your intros, you get your guys that, can work a decent show. It's not a bad show. They can do a decent spot, and
Hmm.
then you bring in your better talent. You know what I mean? You don't want to like overshadow anybody by like getting like a really great song, and then you put on something else after where it's like, oh man. So
Yeah. We then followed that up with Shayna, Tiffany, and Summer. Um, this was my favorite song. Nope, that's a lie. I was about to lie to you. This was my second favorite song back then, and it remains at the same today. This beat is a little bit more up tempo, has a little bit more uh feel to it, more feel to it. Um, if you haven't noticed by now, he is sampling oh my God, 808s and Heartbreaks. Um, that's the controversial Kanye West album that came out. At the time, do you remember your thoughts on 808s and Heartbreaks when it first came out and your reaction to people's reaction?
So for 808s and Heartbreaks, when it first came out, like I wasn't the biggest Kanye fan. Like I did like his music. I just
Hmm.
remember right before that, it was in '07, him and 50, they had that
Hmm.
battle where Kanye won with Graduation, 50
Yep.
had Curtis. And I remember like being like, damn, you know what I mean? So if he beat 50 Cent, you know what I mean? And that album did really well. He sold almost like a million in a week. It's like 900,000 within the first week.
Hmm.
And I'm like, damn, what's next for Kanye? Because everyone was championing the Graduation album. And then he came out with this where he went to left field, and he was singing more. He was doing like a little bit more experimentation. And obviously, like you said, people were just like, yo, what the fuck is this? He's not really rapping, he's singing. And
Yeah.
what was it? Love Lockdown was like the first song he had. People
Yep.
people weren't really rocking with that. And with me, I was like, um, maybe it's not really for me. But then eventually when I heard some of the other songs on there, I'm like, this is cool. But I think I probably felt like how other people felt. Oh, Graduation was better and this and
Hmm.
that. But it's one of those things where sometimes as an artist or even as a person, you have to like go your own way, go your own route to kind of figure out what, you really want to do. And at the end of the day, it turned out for the best for Kanye, because now people say, "Oh my God, this album's so great, this, and that." And imagine if he would have just stuck to his gun. Well, if he wouldn't have stuck to his guns and would have just,
Hmm.
"Oh no, let me just do like another graduation two or something like that, or another late registration or something like that." It's like, nah, man, like go for yours, because time will tell and let you know like how people really feel about it. And of course, at the end of this episode, we'll find out how people really feel about, this project. See if, you know, Charles really did his thing or not. Um, Overall though, like I grew to love it like everybody else. I didn't outward hate it though, like
Mhm.
some people did. I could say that.
Yeah, I know that it was such a switch that I know people were like, "What is this shit? What happened? Why is he doing this?" Da da da. And I was I was kind of in that boat. I think Love Lockdown coming out first and being the first thing, I was like, "Oh, I ain't go. This is not gonna work for me." But then the follow-up singles came in. I was like, "This is. I get what he's doing. It's different sounding, and I think being a fan of Charles probably helps with that because we're kind of used to like different sounding things, so it kind of grew on me or whatever. But yeah, looking back now, it may not be his best project or people's favorites project, but I think it's probably one of the most influential albums. Like, it's definitely the most influential album in his catalog and probably of all time because it opened the door for a lot of people to start doing shit like that. And then now, some people shouldn't have done shit like that, but it did open the door for people who did become actually good at that and then kind of made that style their own.
Right. And I agree. It's funny because like we said, Love Lockdown was the first single. And after that, I want to say it was Heartless. I think Heartless
Hmm.
was like the next one. So I think that was more like people could digest that better. But speaking of that song, because that's the song he flipped on the original song we were talking about, Shayna, Tiffany, and Summer.
Hmm.
And it's just funny because you hear, wait a couple months, and you gonna see, wait. And then my favorite thing, chill. Let me black first. Let me black first. And then Charles Blacks. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is gonna be crazy. So number one, beat's fire. I don't care what year you listen to this beat, it's fire. His flow is really good. This is easily a favorite song. Not my favorite from the tape, but I could
Hmm.
see, like you said, this is like your second favorite. So I could see anyone that's first heard this project, they'd be like, this would be a favorite.
Yeah.
And then uh the house Charles starts it off. Shannon got mad because I fucked Kiana. I'm like, oh, here we go. Oh man. So that's another note I took. So Shayna, first girl he's talking about. So he either cheated or cuffed, Kiana, the other girl from the last song.
Hmm.
Uh Tiffany, I guess they were talking, but then she ended up finding another guy. So she broke Charles's heart, Mason. And then Summer was never a girlfriend, but then Charles, I guess, wanted to smash. Don't know if he ever got to or not. But um, oh, and then the hook. Oh, I should be so mad at me for like Charles always has a thing about yo, they mad at me. Why are they mad at me? All right, well, number one, bro, you just said that you basically smashed one girl and she got mad at you for that. So that's a good reason. Um, if what's her name, Tiffany was like interested in some other guy, whatever, and like she left you for him, I can see you being more mad at her, but you might have said something. You might have talked out your neck. You got to remember, this is '09 Charles we're talking about. So
Right.
we got Mr. Snarky over here. Um, and then I'm not sure what happened with Summer, but this is definitely a favorite song, a favorite for a lot of people I can see. So
Yeah, I could see this being just probably overall the most actually if you look I like to look at YouTube views and comments and stuff. This is definitely the most listened to song on the tape for everybody. So it's definitely single worthy-esque as far as what would be, the one that you get played the most. But yeah, a very good song. The beat's crazy and
also another thing,
mm,
I'm not gonna lie, Charles did a great job with sampling and flipping some of these songs because like I know this comes from Heartless. I don't even think about Heartless though. I don't feel like
right.
this is the Kanye West Heartless remix. Like I literally just think of it as Charles' song. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
a really important thing when you're sampling someone else's art, making sure that you make it your own, not like, oh, this is just Charles rapping on a Kanye beat. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Shayna got mad cause I fucked Kiana. Or maybe because I cuffed Kiana. You would've thought that I fucked her mama. But I'm Charles and I'm always ending up in drama. A lovely charmer. Before it became public that I love Rihanna, she was just an honor for me to be around. I knew it since Bard. High school fell for her friend Karen.
I guess that's the other thing too. Like it's kind of hard to call it a mixtape when he's doing so much to the beats. So it's like you are kind of making it your own. So like, how far can it be into a mixtape? I can see somebody making that argument. Um, We follow that up with Toya, which is one of four women who get their own song, which to me must mean that these four are the most important. That's how I'm taking it. Charles, please correct me if I'm wrong, and or tell me why you chose to give those four their own song. But how'd you feel about this one?
I totally agree. You know what I mean? We've heard Toya's name in a bunch of songs too, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? So if he gave four of them, you know, their own song, you know what I mean? I guess you can call them the Fantastic Four. Fantastic, ain't it? Fuck, no, I'm playing. No, but listen, look at your face. Well, they can't see your face, but I can see your face. It's hilarious. That I had to do it. I had to do it to him. So, Charles Flips, "So Amazing" by
Hmm.
Kanye and Jeezy, and literally no pun intended, but like when this beat comes in, another fire ass beat. So the
Hmm.
beat's amazing. And like I was saying, Charles has his own way of like changing these songs and making it feel like it's more of his own.
Yeah.
Um, there's no hook on this song, but it's not needed. Like this is one of those times where like you hear the "so amazing," you hear that as like the hook. And I'm like,
Hmm.
that's completely fine. I don't think that he needed to put a hook for that. You know what I mean? Or if you want to make the hook the sample, that's perfect.
Hmm.
um is one of those things where Charles he does like two verses and then he like third verse isn't really a verse, you know. But you know, Charles talked about how he met Toya through a friend and then they end up dating. She was loyal, but ongoing synopsis, Charles wasn't.
Right.
Um Third verse, you know, Charles tells a story about like the good times that he recalls some memories about, oh, you know, I needed an outfit and you bought this outfit for me and you was always down for me. You couldn't make it to work and then we had to split a nickel bag. And in my head, I'm like, damn, a nickel bag? Like, when's the last time those existed? You can't, you can't get that for nowhere, no way, ever.
Nah.
Um,
It's up for those days.
oh man, like a nickel bag, a nick, man. Anyway, this is a really good song. Definitely a really good song. Um, I could see the song being overshadowed just because if there's other songs on here that someone could be like, oh, well, this beat's fire and this song's fire too. It's like this
Hmm.
one could get lost in the shuffle. You know what I mean? So really good song.
Yeah, I think this is kind of, to me, the most vulnerable song on the tape. I think he's really pouring his heart out on this one in a more, damn, I wish we could have made it work type of situation in this one. Um, Again, the beats fire. I think this type of shit kind of makes you wonder what Charles Hampton and Kanye West production would sound like together. Like if they collabed on something, it would sound ridiculous probably. Um, But yeah, good verses. I like what he does. Like I said, about half of these songs use the sample for the hook, and I think that this is a tape that it works well on just because of, who we're dealing with. Um, and then when he does add hooks, it's kind of in tune with the sample as well. But yeah, this is a really good one. I think I like this more today than I did originally, and that's saying something. So yeah, good record. Chantel is next. Chantel. How would you say it? I have a cousin named Chantel, so that's why I say it like that.
That doesn't matter. We're not talking about your cousin. We're talking about Charles's Chantel.
Hmm.
So I sidebar. I love when you do that, right?
What's up?
For example, right? Right in front of me is a box of Reebok shoes, and you'll know the answer for something, but then you'll put me into it and be like, oh yeah, so talking about Reeboks or Rayboks, how do you say that? Or how do you? It's basically your way of being like, oh, I don't want to get blamed for this one. Here you go. Here's the bomb. Like I've noticed you do that a couple of times. Oh, actually? Yeah. Now, if I recall, didn't he do? It's like you doing that. Didn't he do this, Mike? Wasn't that the
I'm on the stand like he's over there, officer.
literally? Yeah, I'm like, oh man, like yeah, this tape
Oh.
came out. If I remember, it was like March something, correct, Mike? It came out in March.
Yeah,
If my notes are correct, it
you
came
sup
out in March.
you supposed to be the homie. You're supposed to run with the gang. If you're not running with the gang, then what's the point?
Anyway, you got it. You got it. Listen, so let me talk about this song for real. Um, Not gonna lie, favorite song. Favorite song
Okay.
then, favorite song now, still. Um, this is the I want to say the 808s or Welcome to Heartbreak flip. The beat is heavy, full of emotions. Storytelling is on point for this one. You know what I mean? I think
Hmm.
for me, I think maybe this and maybe another song might be like the most like with storytelling and being so emotional. Charles talks about being friends with Tennille, and I guess like they were all three friends going to school and going through their stuff, whatever. Charles had a crush on Tennille, but then eventually I guess with Chantel stuff worked out and they started dating, but then eventually they don't work out, and then Chantel ends up with somebody else, and apparently this is where it gets a little crazy because near the end he talks about her being pregnant and was about to have a kid, but then decided not to have the kid.
Hmm.
And that's just on both sides because as a woman to give birth to a child, that's one of those things where it's like, that's literally life or death. Some women end up passing when trying to
Hmm.
give birth. And then as a man, you could be like, oh man, I'm bringing in a bundle of joy, and you're starting to think about family and being a man and trying to take care. And then when that doesn't work out or it gets taken away from you, then you're just like, then you feel like you get ripped in half. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, then the beat just plays out for a minute and 30 seconds. Like
Yeah.
I feel like you could listen to the song, just the beat by itself, period. Even if Charles never rapped to it, I could be like, yo, let's say Charles like, yo, I can't rap to this beat. It's too good. I
Hmm.
could be like, you know what? I completely understand that. I'm glad he did rap to it because this song is the reason I go back to this tape. I normally will always go back to this tape for this song. But it's a really beautiful song. My favorite. Hands down favorite.
Okay. Um, it's cool for me. I do like the storytelling elements. Um, lot of lot of pain, I guess I would describe in this one. Um, which usually results in a good Charles Hamilton verses. Um, I don't know why I'm not as high as on this one as some of the other ones. It's not again, it's not one of those things where it's like I feel like it's a bad song, but I do think it's like maybe it's overshadowed because it comes right after Toya. And that could be it for me, but I'm not entirely sure why it's not. But I do agree with as far as the instrumental, and someone else did as well, because someone put and in the comments, do you have this instrumental? Charles had it in another name, and I forgot what it was called. So apparently it did get released. Do you know what it is?
It did. I can't tell you the name of it, but I just thought about it too. Of course, I'm gonna feel differently about it because I made a song to it. You know what I mean? It was on my second mixtape that none of y'all will find because the link's nowhere. So I will never put that out again. I like that song, but I was 20 when I made my song. And the thing
Hmm.
is, I remember like actually thinking about quitting rapping because the girl I was talking to at the time, because I was like, man, maybe I need to be serious about this. And that
Hmm.
was that was a whole relationship and a half of something I probably shouldn't have went through. So I think sometimes when I hear Charles' song, it makes me think about that time,
Yeah.
literally like 15, 16 years ago, where I was just like, man, like that was, when you can think of things fondly, but you're like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have been in that relationship. It's like
Yeah.
one of those feelings. But another person, your buddy, I think K Zeus, he did a song to this too. So unfortunately, we can't play this song because it's on Spotify because he did his own little remix to it. Remember what happened with I Don't Care? So
Hmm.
yeah, unfortunately, we can't play that beautiful song for people because your friend, I believe that's your friend, K Zeus. Yeah, you know him.
No,
Actually,
I don't.
I don't
No,
know if you
no,
know him.
no, I don't. Quick, quick to flip the script. No, I don't. I have no idea who that is.
I've
So
never met that man a day in my life. I don't know her.
yeah, I do not know that individual, sir. Um, but yeah, but yeah, I didn't realize I was gonna ask you, would you rap over that beat, but clearly you have, and you won't let anybody hear it because you refuse to let anybody hear any of your old music. Um, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how to say the first girl's name. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I know Jamaris, and I know what was the next one? Tiffany.
Wrong. Mm-mm.
Sorry,
Man,
Trisha.
you
Trisha, my
you
fault.
did not do your notes today, man. I thought you were a journalist. Okay. It's Jania
Yeah, I wouldn't have got
Jamaris.
that.
We know you how you feel about Jamaris.
Love Jamaris.
Yeah, yeah. Whoa, whoa. I'm telling Charles, man. Oh, damn. You want to fight over Jamaris? Anyway, Jania, Jamaris, and Trisha.
Got it. Okay.
I'll let you
Um,
start.
what's up?
I'll let you start because I've been starting for most of the songs.
So the rapping is great. I like the beat more than anything. For whatever reason, I would love that beat. It just has this real, I don't know, it's kind of like a, you know how like the really ghostly, like whispery type junk. It really has that element to it, and I think it works perfectly with the way he's rapping on here. And this one is kind of like a controlled stream of conscious rap. Like he's just like going and he's just going and going, and it doesn't feel like there's. And I don't think there really is. It don't really feel like there's verses. It just feel like he's just rapping just the entire way through, and just getting some shit off his chest or whatever. Um, Surprise pick for me. I didn't think I would. I don't remember liking this one at all. I don't remember playing this a lot back then. Um, but I found myself going back to this one a couple times. Yeah, I think it's like the least played. Yeah, it's the least played of all the actual tracks. Um, I would like people to listen to this one a little bit more. I think it's pretty good.
So me and you are in the same boat because this is actually my surprise pick. And I think I felt the same way where like I don't really remember listening to it too much, like when I first heard the tape, but I definitely like this a lot more now. And also I like the playlisting on here. Like for example, I'm glad it came after the same song because like I said, I have my emotional feeling about Chantel, the song, not the person. I don't want to beef. I don't want to well this song, I have like the most amount of notes on this song. So
Okay.
um I was skeptical when the beat came in because kind of like a bit of like a rock sample, sound like a classic rock type of song. But
Hmm.
um, there's a couple of notes, like I said, I have on here because Charles said in the first verse, Charles makes sense when put into action. Oh no, he says Charles makes sense, but when put into action, Charles is senseless. Polygamy had me wishing she was any body but Jania, the body on Jania. And I'm like, man. So it seems like he couldn't stay faithful to Jania, and it seems like he knows that she didn't deserve what happened because with him,
Hmm.
he might have been looking at her more like sexually and knowing that she was a good girl. But obviously, the way that Charles definitely thought back then was like, oh, I want to be with more than one girl. You know what I mean? And I feel like they should accept it. And I don't think any of them did accept it. So,
Hmm.
second verse, he says, or whatever you want to call it, but he said, I was Toya's boyfriend in love with Jania, fucking Jamaris. And I'm just like, all right, so we're Toya's not even in this song. You know what I mean? Toya had her own song, but you're already someone's boyfriend.
Hmm.
The original girl from the song, Jania, you're in
Hmm.
love with,
Right.
and then you're fucking Jamaris. And this
Right.
is Jamaris's verse, basically. You know what I mean? So then he says, I apologize if I embarrassed you. And then he's talking about, he didn't want another lawsuit. He doesn't want to call you because like respectfully, like I don't even cause you any more trouble. I've already caused you enough. So let me leave you alone. Um and it seemed like for Jamaris, he did see her more than sexual conquest, but once again, his actions don't show that. It's
Hmm.
like if you're talking about, yeah, I'm fucking this girl and she's great and we're sneaking out doing this and that, but I love you too. And then he mentions near the end, the reason he loved Trisha was the reasons he loved Jamaris and Jania. And it's just like, man, it's just and there's a point where like he mentioned like I guess you say self-harm. I don't know if they were doing it together or what,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where it's just like Charles had his feelings for all of them and he
Hmm.
felt pretty much the same about all of them. But at the same time, it's just like, bro, like if we're just going by this song and what I've heard so far, it's just like who did you not to be an asshole, but who did you really love? Because you're talking about, oh, I was in love with this girl, I love this girl, and
Hmm.
I was fucking this girl. But it's like you had to have one more than the other, but it don't sound like it, man. It just sound like you just wanted to be selfish. Um, like I said, this is definitely the sleeper song for the tape. And what really got me was near the end, after he got done rapping, he said, and I quote, I might not open up like this ever again. And then 2 seconds later, but then again, I always do. And then you literally hear him like sniffle. And then he's like, whatever. And you know that wasn't like a whatever.
Hmm.
You've heard people say that before. You whatever. It's like, nah, dog, it's not whatever. You're obviously upset about this.
Hmm.
Um, damn. For me, picturing this after hearing Chantel, I figured at the end of the song, this is like him being heartbroken and having to get on the plane somewhere, probably to LA or some shit like that. And he's putting the sunglasses on while like the one tear rolls down his cheek and the plane's already taken off. It's like one of those type of movie type of songs.
Hmm.
I'm like, damn. So I definitely really do like the song a lot more than I used to. Definitely the sleeper hit of the tape.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where like as we get older, I feel like we appreciate this song a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I think you got to go through some stuff to kind of you got to have like some type of similar. Well, I mean, you know, we're not cheating on our girlfriends with multiple other women like that, not like this.
Yeah,
And
I ain't got
and
it like that. I ain't got it like that. So
and then being like, hey, new girl, you remind me of them other two girls I cheated on, by the way. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
So like,
my man did the Usher. That was Usher Day. Yo, you know what? You remind me of this girl. And then humping
that's
trees. Charles, don't tell me you was humping trees out here because Usher was doing the most. He was out here humping palm trees.
bro, that song is still crazy. Like, could you imagine? Like, everybody loved that song so much. Yo, that song, the song is fly. You remind me of such a fly song. It's such a good song. You can start belting that. But when you sit back and really think about that song, is he saw a woman in the club and was like, "You remind me of a girl." It's just like, "Hey, you remind me of this girl that I really, really do not like, and I shouldn't have been with. Let me get your number." Like, what? That don't make no sense.
And then he had the breakdown where he was dancing in the street and decided, okay, I'm gonna go upside down, making you with my legs. Then I'm gonna slide in my car, do a little wink wink, and then hop in the Lambo, drop the Lambo door down, drive to the club. And then had the one ear, he had the one earpiece in. It's like, bro, get out of the club, bro. What are you doing? You want to see any other dude doing that other than Usher? You'd be like, yo, fucking weirdo, get out of the club.
It's like, bro, you are doing the most right now, bro. Um, we followed up with I believe it's Brittany.
Yeah, I believe that is Brittany. Is that correct?
I
The
think that
song?
is. Mike, what do you think?
Hey man, I like the name Brittany, especially spelled this way. N-A-Y. I believe that's how it's spelled. Is that the correct way to spell Brittany with two T's? A-N-Y? Stick? How do you feel about that?
Well, I've seen it other ways. I've seen Britney. I think have you seen it that way?
You're gonna be surprised by one of the ways I've seen it, and I know this girl. I'm obviously no one knows her, but uh Brittni. I've seen that. I've seen Britni. I don't know what's going on with that with the Ni. I don't know what's up with that. It's been a while since I met a girl with how Britney Spears spells it, Britney, but I feel like Brittany. I feel like that's the like standard way you're supposed to spell it. Like
Yeah.
what like my name be a Mike or Michael. Don't start calling me fucking Michael, I swear to God. But not you. I'm talking about anyone else. But uh when someone's like, oh, it's spelled E-A-L, who do you know with the name Michael spelled E-A-L? Like dead ass. I've like not even trying to be funny. I've never met one person named Mike or Michael.
That's
Oh,
Mikhail.
Mikhail and all that. Like, come on, dog. Like, fuck out of here. So, but anyway, back to the song. With this song, back to the Kanye flips. Um, oh, this is Say You Will. This was Say You Will.
Hmm.
I think this was a much needed tempo switch up because some of the other songs before were like the slower, really sad, emotional ones.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, there's there's a there's a fine line you have to do when like a tape becomes too depressing or too slow or too fast. You know what I mean? You gotta, make sure you get everything going good. So with Brittany, this is a friendship that started from Facebook poking. You know what I mean? That's another thing of us showing our age. Oh man, you're poking people on Facebook. Oh man, that was the move back then. Back in my day, I used to Facebook poke your mom. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, we was poking for real. Anyway, yeah, never mind. Nope, I won't do that. That's gonna be OD. That was gonna be OD. But also Brittany apparently she did music too, and I think that became obvious from the hook, because Charles was like, okay, Brittany, why do you want to sleep with me? Because I'm on the same label as MJ and 50. You know what I mean? Like, keep it real with me. So I think this is the first time Charles was talking about a girl that maybe didn't like him for him.
Hmm.
It's possible she could have, but that's what he was trying to find out in the song, basically. Hey, do you actually like me for me, or you like me because where I'm going and where I'm heading,
Right.
apparently. You know what I mean? And then Charles does say that he's met a lot of Britneys, a lot of girls with blue that look like you. Um, and I'm like, what, that does make sense because with the not the hook, but the background of the sample saying calls out the blue. So
Hmm.
of course, if you blow up and you're on an endoscope, all of a sudden you will get some calls out of the blue from a bunch of Britneys. You know what I mean? So, this is a good song. I like the beat of this song a lot. It's a good song.
Yeah, I have it in my okay category. Cautionary tale, obviously, once you start seeing success, you see, like I say, you get a bunch of different calls. You get you get calls from family members you didn't even know you had actually. Like they just, I'm your cousin on three things removed, and I'm like, that sounds like a little bit too much, big dog. So to me, you just a regular person. You get those calls from girls that may have curved you, girls that you ain't that any other circumstance you would have never had the time of day with, but now all of a sudden, Um, so this one's interesting because it's like you said, it's not a this really isn't on him, and there isn't many of those on here. But this one, this one isn't on him. This is him avoiding a predatory type of situation that could have ended bad for him. So, as far as the record goes, it's okay. I don't think it's one I seek out often, but it doesn't interrupt the flow of this mixtape. So solid. We finish up with Simone. That is my favorite track of the tape. I remember playing this up and down 95 when I would drive from home back to campus when I had different basketball camps and stuff. When I was staying on campus training and stuff like that. This is a very vivid one. Girl flew in from Florida. This is the song we'll play. It's a bunch of memories tied down to this song in itself. Really good record. I love the beat. Um, and it's a good way to end the tape since it's the last actual track we have. I think it kind of ends it on that positive note. This one, as far as works best as an outro for that very reason. And yeah, I just think overall, it's probably maybe not the best song, but it's definitely my favorite. It is a lot attached to it for me.
First time you hit me up was for an interview for So Fresh magazine. That was the blog, and I meant to do something a little bit special, like let you come to the studio, give you a lecture about the way I do my music. I'm a selector of samples, a record.
For me, this song or the beat, very nostalgic. I want to say this is the first song I heard from the tape because
Mm,
I want to say there's like a video or something, maybe on Charles's blog, where like you play like a snippet of the song and you hear the baby, don't worry about it. And I remember I heard that first before I actually heard the original that Kanye did because I want to
mhm,
say the video had Rihanna in it and she was like looking and acting all crazy, whatever. And it said it was sped up, but it was an upbeat flip. And I'm like, okay, this is dope. Charles saw about, meeting Simone for an interview for a magazine, So Fresh magazine.
mhm.
Charles must have been on his So Fresh shit. Um, Charles talking about how he loves her and all that, but common occurrence, couldn't stop cheating. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because this is a really good song, but then you think about what he's saying in the hook. He's like, girl, why are you tripping? You know I love you. You know what I mean? It's just like, because you're cheating. That's why. And like, you know that original song. It's like, you're worried about the wrong things.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Don't worry about me cheating over here. Hey, look down there. Charles said, look over there. Hey, I got a new mixtape out. She's like, that's not gonna work on me, buddy. Nah. But it is crazy because like near the third verse, I want to say he mentioned something like, "Well, if you can't do it like the other girl does, poof." You know what I mean? It's like what? I love you, but yo, if you want if you want to keep bringing up me cheating, you know what I mean, then you could just go. You know what I mean? And we know how Charles feels about Simone too, because that's like her and Toya, those girls get mentioned a lot,
Yeah.
like damn near the most, you know what I mean? Um, but this is a catchy song with a hook and flow. Like if you don't really listen to the lyrics, this is like one of those things like Andre 3000 said, y'all don't want to listen, y'all just want to dance. So
Hmm.
if you just listen to the beat and whatnot and the vibe of it's good, but it's more like him just talking about, yeah, I love this girl, she's great, and we go great together, but why you bringing up old shit? Yeah, I know I cheated. Yeah, I know I'm cheating. You caught me again. Why you keep bringing it up? Come on. But long story short, really really good upbeat song. Good feeling to it. I would say, yeah, I can understand why this like technically ends the tape. So I like the song a lot too. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whenever I think about like Charles girls, I do think Simone first. That's the first one I always think about. 'Cause I feel like she, more than anybody, got mentioned most. She got a bunch of songs named after her. This ain't even like this is she has another one named after her in a different on a different tape. So it's like she definitely is, I feel like she was supposed to be Amy Rose, basically, and she was supposed to be his girl as they ascended in the business together. But based off everything we've seen on this tape, we kind of see why that may didn't happen or whatever. But yeah, the tape ends called with the bitter X, and it's funny. I'm not gonna lie. It's the beat's crazy, and I thought like maybe he rap on it, but now I'm like, did he even need to? It's just it's an interesting way to end this entire situation.
it's funny because we talk about the covers. On the cover we originally saw, like it said that near the end, Bitter X and all that, but on the Sonic cover,
Hmm.
like it doesn't even have Bitter X on there, it just has question mark. So I remember like seeing that, I'm like, well, I know it's not called question mark. What was that? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I remember so I want to say the original song or the original video, whatever it was, because Kanye was somewhere performing, and that song I think is technically called "Eat Shit and Die" or something like that. But I remember watching it like at the time on YouTube or something, and then he says, "Oh, you should die," and then some dude in the crowd, I think, recording it, like that's what that is, and I was like, because that was Kanye being so bold back then, but
Yeah.
I just remember that being a thing. I'm like, well, if you know the reference, it's cool. But I'm like, as a beat, I'm like, I don't know how it would have sounded him just rapping on it. So I'm like, maybe this is just like this is like Charles did all his rapping and his singing, right? So this is maybe some of their response to him if they were to respond. Since they
Yeah.
can't, maybe this is them saying, you know what, fuck him, he should die. Ha 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 ha, we got you. Ha ha, got him. No, but it's not one of my favorite beats. It's one of those things where
Right.
I'm like, I feel like he probably could have left this off, honestly.
Yeah. Especially if he wasn't gonna do nothing with it. Also, I hope it's like him saying that they're the bitter exes because you can't be the bitter ex. That's not how that works. This story does not allow for you to be the bitter ex in most of these situations. It doesn't. Like you are you're the villain in a lot of these women's stories in these relationships. So yeah, you're just the ex. You're the ex, man. But that's okay. That's okay. Anything else before we head out and rate this tape?
I would like to know, for everyone else watching or Charles to answer himself, um, what actually is the answer? You know what I mean? Because the tape is called "Every Charles Hampton Ex-Girlfriend's Worst Nightmare." What is the worst nightmare? Was it the cheating, infidelity? Was it you? Um, was it other things? Of course, I know he could probably say, "Oh, well, the things I explained in the songs were
Hmm.
the actual worst nightmares." But
Yeah.
and like at least like six of them, it was you cheating with another girl from this timeline and this universe and this multiverse. So it's like,
Hmm.
so if you give me that answer, oh, I explained them in songs, so you cheating. I mean, nah, just I wonder, what would that actually be? You know what I mean? So, but other than that, no, I'm ready to rate it.
Yeah, I would assume that the worst nightmare is just them being able to in things without having to hear how he felt about stuff. I just think that now, not only that, but now it's on Front Street. It's like it's part of the ethos. Now everybody has the tape out and they can listen to what happened. You know what I'm saying? Most women would just tell you, just don't embarrass me. But like you putting out a record that people are gonna bop to and then will ask a bunch of questions to, it would be kind of embarrassing me because now I have to answer questions. So that could be it. I don't know, but you know, we got some bops out of it, so I don't know what to tell them.
Yeah, I mean that personally has nothing to do with me. Whatever. That's just stuff that Charles will have to deal with and continue to deal with because that Charles is not like Charles stopped in like 2009. Like he continued to use girlfriends' names until they probably said, "Look, bro, fucking stop." Before I actually press charges, and then he has, all right, well, let me show that. So,
Yeah. But we just listened to. No, I'm not saying this again. We listened to the tape, man. Let me know. Let me know what you're gonna give as far as character rating, any pros and cons, and what character design you giving it, man.
all right. So for this project, we listened to every Charles Hampton ex-girlfriend's worst nightmare. Say that 5 times fast.
I
No,
refuse.
I know you do. So you made a good point. This is this a classic? Is it underrated? Um, it's kind of crazy because remember the episode we did with "Ill Doesn't Mean Classic." You know what I mean? Like this could be a classic underrated gem. This could be an underrated classic.
Mm.
It's a shame because you remember when we did our March Madness bracket, whatever, and then like this got slaughtered by whatever tape it went against, where it was like the other tape got 91%. I think this got like 9%.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna let y'all live this down because now that I re-listened to this project, I'm like, man, this definitely deserved better. Like I said it jokingly on that episode, but no, for real, I'm like, nah, man. Like this tape definitely deserves its flowers. This is a really good tape. Um, Even if you don't count the intro and you don't count the outro, just
Mm.
the 7 songs, this is a really, 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 really good 7 song project. It's one of those things where I was like, man, like I'm glad this has came up now. Cause I'm like, bro, like, what are we going to do when we have a tape that could possibly fall into supersonic category,
Hmm.
but it's underrated? Because it's like, well, how can I give this a tails if it's really good music? You know what I mean? But also, how can I give this a supersonic if not enough people are talking about it? Back then in 2009, our era, people did talk about this a lot, but they talk about My Brain's Alive and they talk about Awkward to a much higher caliber. You
Hmm.
don't need like this tape doesn't even get brought up in that mention. And it came out that same week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's one of the things I really love this tape. It's one of those things where I don't think I'd be able to give it a supersonic just because not enough people are talking about it. So I'm gonna have to give it a tails. It's very underrated. This is the one time I could see myself saying, if we got more eyes and ears on this project and then it became more well renowned, then I can see myself maybe changing my rating down the road to be like, okay, I can make that a supersonic, but it's underrated. It's definitely 100% underrated. Really good music, If I could, I mean, this is not going to be a real rating. It's a Tails, but if I was to give it like a Super Tails, you know what I mean, from like Sonic 3 and Knuckles, where Tails gets all the Chaos Emeralds and he has all the
Hmm.
flickies around him, that's what I would give it technically.
Hmm.
But, it's underrated. It's a Tails. Imagine Tails having all the supersonic abilities with the flickies, from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, where he had the emeralds and not Sonic and not Knuckles. So underrated for sure.
Well, let me ask you this question, right? If you, and I think I know the answer, but if we took away just the underrated part, and we had, and you know how we have it set up as far as ranking goes, does the music itself warrant a supersonic from you?
I think it would like if we didn't have the Tails rating and I would had to basically go from Sonic or Supersonic, I would have I think I would have gave this a Supersonic. I think I would have gave it a Supersonic. Part of me was just like, because then I was like, you know what? If it's too underrated, it's got to be either a Bass Sonic or a Tails. But then I was like, because it's underrated. Like I said, just I'm like, I don't, I feel like I'd be like kind of lowballing it if I just said, "Oh, it's just Big Sonic, it's just good." I'm like, I
Hmm.
think it's a little bit better than just good.
Got it.
Now, is it better than My Brain and Awkward? No, but it's up there. It's like
Got you.
I think it's up there. It's not passing either of those two. But
Hmm.
I I probably if we didn't have Tails, I think I think I probably would have gave it a Supersonic. Honestly, like legit. The only thing that probably would have held it back is, like I said, that last the bitter X. That'd be
Yeah.
the only thing where I'm like I'm in contention with that, where I'd have to be like, ah, that might knock it down because
Got
I
you.
don't think that you needed that at all.
Got you. I feel like you could have given it a supersonic. I feel like we do things based on our own merits anyway, and our based on our own reviews anyway. So I wouldn't have had any issue with you putting it supersonic, especially if you feel like the music warranted that or whatever. Me
And
personally, I'm
and you shouldn't because it's my rating. You can't
right.
tell me
It's
what to
yeah,
do with my rating.
yeah. What did Wayne say? My cup. What's in my cup? It's in my cup. Fuck you. Um, I'm with you though. I'm also giving it tails. I call this tape its synopsis. Bad boyfriend with good intentions. That is essentially what this tape is about. It's about a man who has come up with what I think is still a flawed concept. I would love to try to do this concept, not with an album, but just like a collection of junks or whatever, and just kind of write and just like address each one, not name them specifically, because I feel like that would be an issue in my life currently. So I would do it a different way. But I love this concept. I love the, you know, using 808s and heartbreaks to kind of sample throughout the entire tape. He's rapping really well on here. When there's hooks, they're solid. When he does it, the sample does a hook, it's also really good. I'm just with you. Like now that I know that one, it was the third tape following NBA and Awkward, and that it's basically gotten overshadowed over time. And like people like said, it made our tournament thing, which I still didn't understand that either. 'Cause I think only like one or two people voted for it, but it got in. But even then, it was like it got overshadowed again in the tournament by getting the way the votes went out. So I'm going tails because I think more people need to go back and listen to this. 'Cause I think if they do, I think they will find stuff that they missed, just like we missed out on our surprise pick or whatever. So yeah, I'm going tails.
Definitely. Real quick note, you just reminded me because you said if you were to have that type of idea or try to use that, the every, Sticks ex-girlfriends were, there was
Mhm.
at least like two or three Star Chasers I seen in the Central, on the Facebook group, where they did their own version or they wanted to. And they're like,
Mhm.
oh man, if I was to do my own version, I'd have like probably like 20 songs. And it's like that might be a good thing that you didn't do your own version. But there were Star Chasers that did want to do their own version, and they wanted to rap on certain beats and do something similar. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anyone officially ever came out with their own version, but hey, Charles definitely had a really good idea that other people clung on to and at
Yeah.
least wanted to attempt it.
Yeah. Imagine someone doing an alphabet slaughter of just like of ex-girlfriends. A, Alice, I told you that. Yeah, da, 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 da. B, Becky, I told. And you just go through the entire alphabet, dog. What?
That'd be nuts. That'd be nuts. Mm.
Oh man, 12 minutes of just ridiculousness. Anyway, what do you guys think about Mike insert tape name here, please?
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I thought you were about to say like me doing my own version. I'm like, no, that's never going to happen. Sorry. Every Charles Hamilton ex-girlfriend's worst nightmare.
Let us know what you think of the tape. Let us know what your favorite songs were. Um, Let us know about some of your ex-girlfriend's worst nightmares, if you dare. Let us know over on StarCHaser Central on YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter, StarCH Central. You can follow us on our individual pages. I'm at Stick Around 54, STIK around 54 on Twitter and Instagram. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
Before I tell y'all that, for anyone, ex-boyfriend and girlfriend, because we are
Yeah,
inclusive,
yeah,
love wins. And also there's probably like three women that might listen to this project or this
fair.
this podcast. So I don't want y'all thinking, oh, it's just, we didn't forget y'all.
Yeah, yeah,
Ladies,
yeah.
we love you.
Shout out to ladies.
Whoever is watching and listening. But you can find me in the club. No, he's like, nah, but you can find me on Instagram, the Mike Jackson, THE Mike Jackson on Twitter, because I don't call it X and I don't want to call my ex either. I don't even want to talk about that. So Mike D Jackson, Mike DEE Jackson, that's one D, two E's. Holla at me. So make sure you guys are following Charles on Twitter at Charles Hamilton. Make sure you're subscribed to him on YouTube at the talented Mr. Hamilton. You never know what you're going to get. You might get a random live, you might get a random song, random project. So, and if you want to keep up to date with Charles, the best way possible, make sure you are checking out the blog. Enter thehamilton.blogspot.com. There it is.
Be sure to let us know what you want us to listen to next. Any specials, any type of, anything you want us to talk about, man. If you want us to start talking about anything, the week in Charles Hamilton news, let us know if we can try to do that. We saw Charles had a interesting back and forth with a gentleman recently, and you know what? It ended amicably. So that's positive progress, and I appreciate that. Everybody won in the end, kind of. But yeah, just let us know, and we'll try to get that done for you guys. Mike, you got anything for the people before we head out?
The same old, you know what I mean? But just appreciate y'all for watching and listening to another episode. Can't wait for the next one. Make sure that we keep it positive, y'all. That's the most important deal. You know what I mean? We don't always have to agree with each other, but let's keep it positive. You know what I mean? So as long as we can do that and we can actually, have great discussions, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But we gotta make sure we're having these discussions, So don't be afraid if you're let's say if you're a long time listener, right? But you've never commented before, just be like, hey, what's up, y'all? I like the podcast, or I like this, or I like that with this song, that song. Doesn't matter. You don't have to have a long, detailed, message. Just let us know that you're there, that you're out there, So
Yeah. Positivity always wins. Well, it used to for the New Day, and then they decided no. But we are checking out the StarCHaser Central podcast, man, where we always encourage you to follow your dreams
and reach for the stars.
I know how you tripping, you can't get enough of it. I know you wonder why I chose to do it public, but nightmares suck and daydreams are nothing. Why you tripping, but girl, I love it.